On to the next. We do the same as before, placing our scan, and we're going to isolate this one this time, and I'm also going to discount the text because we don't want the text just yet. I'm going to go to Object, Clip and Mask and Make. So we have only this shape, which is the sketch of the one and the rolling wave. If you also note in this design, we have a surfboard shape here. So I'm going to do my best to emphasize this surfboard shape to add another element to the design. So we have a one shape, we have the surfboard and the rolling wave. So although the shapes here are going to be quite basic, there is going to be a little bit of tweaking involved, actually quite a bit, after we put together the basic shapes. So we want to be able to see the vector shapes clearly from the very start, so we're going to turn down the opacity to 20. So with that done, we want to lock that in place in the layers panel by clicking the padlock, so that no longer moves. With that done, we'll select the pen tool and we get to work. I've selected pink because it's a colour that stands out. So I'm going to tackle the corner point first by placing an anchor point there. And I'm going to come up here and I'm going to make sure the point of that one looks like a surfboard. I may come back and refine this later. And then I'm going to click down to here. Do that once more. And we're going to go to the transparency panel to make that see through so we can see where we trace. And I'm going to click down here and also make this rounded just there, so that matches the roundedness up there. And I'll come back and refine this later. To do the rolling wave, we're going to use a circular tool, the ellipse tool rather. And we'll make this transparent also. And we align like so. And we draw another circle, this time white, and we go over the top of that circle. And holding shift, we click the other circle, we go to our Pathfinder panel. In Pathfinders, in shape modes, we click minus front, and this deducts the inner circle from the outer circle. So that done, we'll start to refine this shape so that it looks more like a rolling wave. So we click this point because this point is where the circle continues, and we want the wave head to come down this way. So it's about at this point, so we click there to put down an anchor point, and we pull a curve upwards, and we click that anchor point again, and we can just draw out like that. And then holding shift, we also select the circle, or the ring as it is now, and we go to our Pathfinder panel again. Beneath shape modes, we click minus front, and this will subtract that shape from the ring. As you can see, it didn't do that perfectly, so we'll go in and we'll use the pen delete anchor point tool in the flyout, and we click upon that and it deletes the stray anchor point. So pulling back out with a magnifier with Alt held, we select the pen tool again and we select that anchor point and another point up here, and we pull a curve. And we click this anchor point, and we make a shape further down here to cover all the white areas. With that done, we can hold shift, select the one, select the rolling wave. Now in the Pathfinder panel, click the top right and select make compound shape. Then we click expand to expand all of these points outwards to give a solid shape that we can now begin to refine. So we take down the opacity so we can see how much this closely resembles the sketch underneath as a whole unit, and we can begin to make changes. So clicking the pen tool, we can see that this doesn't follow down to here, and we're also missing a large part of the curve. So we clicked onto the path just to make an anchor point. We'll repeat that again just to get further down, and we're going to click at a point where the sketch intersects with the shape. And we have that shape, which we're now going to deduct. Holding shift, we'll select the other shape, and in shape modes in the Pathfinder panel, select minus front again. So this deletes or subtracts from the rolling wave shape. So with that done, we can switch up opacity again to see the result. We can turn off our sketch, by clicking the eye in the layers panel, and we can see how the logo stands. I'm going to make a copy of this logo with Alt and Shift, and I'm going to work on a fresh copy beneath this. The top copy is just in case we want to revert back to how it was originally. So we need to look at the image and ask ourselves, what's wrong with the shape? What points of the curves do not flow? Now the first thing I see is the curve on the right hand side, as we joined it with the ring, doesn't flow as well as I'd like. So to remedy this, we're going to zoom in, and I'm going to select everything with the direct selection tool, and I'm going to click on this anchor point, and I'm going to use the handles of this anchor point to manipulate this curve so that it flows better with this curve, which is a perfect circle. So we click on the handle, and I'm going to bring it out just slightly, but the slight difference will make all the difference. And letting it go there, clicking on the canvas to see the result. I'm going to click that again. I'm going to move it up. Now that's looking better. The next thing I'd like to address is we have thin coming out into thick, but then it thins off as it comes towards the one. What I'd like to do here is, and to make the one look a bit more aggressive, is to pull down this anchor point with the direct selection tool. Now here we'll get more of a vicious edge. Let me pull down to there. There we have it. So with this change made to this part of the symbol, which deviates from the original sketch, the symbol's got a more aggressive nature. Considering that the company name is also First Point, it would make sense with these two things in mind to get rid of these rounded parts. So what I'll do now is, using the pen tool, I'm going to go over the head of the one so that it's covered in a shape, and then with the selection tool, shift held down, left mouse button, selecting both shapes, I'm going to use the Pathfinder minus front option again, so it deducts that shape. So with that done, I can now proceed to draw a 1. Make compound shape and expand to make that a new single unit. So reviewing the logo as a whole again, we just look at the shape to see if there's any bits that are out of order. I can see something up here. This part of the curve isn't smooth because of an anchor point which is here. Now this anchor point isn't necessary because we can use this anchor point and its handle to define this curve. After we remove this anchor point, the curve will flow a lot better. So selecting delete anchor point tool in the flyout, we can click upon the anchor point, and then we can use, with the direct selection tool, this handle to drag it out. Holding shift, we can keep it on the horizontal too. And there we have it. The result is a better flowing curve. Zooming out, if we highlight the shape again, we can look for additional anchor points which aren't necessary, which we can rid of. So using the delete anchor point tool, we could erase this anchor point, and then we could use this handle with the direct selection tool to make the curve more flowing. Likewise, we can do the same here. There's an anchor point between these two. If we get rid of that, we now have a better flow in the curve. Now the symbol's still pink to give a contrast against the original sketch, which had black pencil. So now if we switch it back to black, we can judge it in its final stage, and that marks this symbol as complete.